in life, if you are looking for what is easy, you will spend the rest of your life living in pain and in difficulty. But if you do what is difficult, the things that scream at you, the pain, the agony, the things that go, no, I'm afraid of it, you'll spend the rest of your life in difficulty. Does that make sense to anybody in here? But I want to caution you against the 3 most dangerous words in the English language. I know that. Okay? I know that. So we're going to talk about some things you might have heard before, but if you're not doing them, then it's just an idea or a concept. I'm going to challenge you to leave here today doing some of the things that we're going to talk about. How many of you would agree that there's a difference between the way successful people behave and the way struggling people behave? Yes? So it's a matter of just discerning what they're doing and then modeling them and making that a habit. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But in order for that to be effective in your life, I need for you to ignore that word, I've heard that before, or I know that, and to say to yourself, I'm going to go into a state of curiosity. Now, some of you high C's and high S's are going, oh no, not this kind of a thing. Are you kidding me? Just leave me alone. I want to absorb the information. I'm cool, right? And I get that. But I'm going to tell you this. When fear comes along, energy is your friend. Energy is your friend, right? But I also remember reading something, because successful people read from others that are successful. And I had read this thing when I was just a young teenager. It said, do what you fear and it will disappear. Do what you fear and it will disappear, which means take action, right? But we always have fear in our way because fear is protecting us. So we have to have the ability to gauge it, to understand if it's useful. If you see a train coming and you're about to walk on the track and stand there and your brain goes, fear, pain about to come, you might want to heed that one. So now you're afraid. Does that make sense? You're afraid of just anything because you don't know. And if you have parents or relatives that are in the habit of saying, careful, watch out, you might fall. Don't, oh, you're not going to do that investment, are you? Oh, you're going to go out and work on you. No. Before you know it, you have very few options left that you want to say yes to without being held back. So you wrote in your operations manual that meant pain or potential pain, and then going forward, you have to overcome that all the time. So I started in real estate in 1990. I had been in the airlines and I'd lost my job because my father was sick with colon cancer, and I took some time off to take care of him. I was also going through a divorce at the time, and of course I decided that would be a great time to get into real estate. I was not coachable. I tried to do everything on my own. I was what you would call a secret agent, right? Hiding in the background, waiting to be successful so I could go into the office and write 4 or 5 sales on the board so that I was good enough so that people could look at me and go, oh, he's awesome. But inside, this little voice inside of me said, I'm not worthy of it. So I was hiding, trying to figure out a way to be successful so that I didn't have to show up at the meetings and be the one guy that didn't have any sales. After 9 months of really getting nowhere, and then getting evicted from my apartment at the age of 30, moving back with my mother, I realized that desperation was setting in. I managed to scrape up enough money to buy some CDs from a small guy called Tony Robbins. Anybody heard of Tony Robbins? All right. So I put them in my car and I just drove around and listened to them all the time. And I found my focus changing and things changing. And then I hired somebody to help me with some of the strategies with real estate. And the very next year I sold 32 homes. Became the #1 agent. Went on to sell 100 homes a year in 4 years. And then what you guys call states down here in Canada, we call them provinces. I come from Montreal, Canada, and I bought the largest real estate company in the province of Quebec. At the time was big, now it's very small, 94 agents, 3 offices. And even though I didn't know how I was gonna do it, because I didn't have the money yet, I was just overcoming debt from my father who had passed away with debt with the government. My boss walked into my office and he said, Brock, I want to sell you the company. Do you want to buy it? And I went, yes. How am I going to do this, right? I had to deed over $200,000 worth of sales I hadn't made yet. I had to take the broker's course in French, a second language for me. I had 3 children under the age of 4. I had just moved into a home. I had to sell my house, move into a rental. And I'm gonna tell you this, is that how you do things in life is none of your frickin' business. And the more you get that into your mind, you don't need to know how. That little treadmill inside saying, well, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, you need to let that go as soon as you possibly can. But if you know that you want to live a legendary life, you want to make changes in your life, you want to stand for something, you have a reason to impact people's lives, you want to be able to travel and have the great lifestyle that you want, that's all you need to know. And that's all I knew, is that this was a quantum leap. It was a gut feeling. Can I do this? Should I do this? And the answer inside was yes. I was never more alive in my life. Got up, I had to learn a new language. I was challenged by the brokers in my office, but within 4 years, I took it from 94 agents to 270 agents, broke every record that there was set in that period of time in our area. Then I sold it 10 years later for 10 times what I bought it for, wrote a book, traveled around North America speaking and training. And in spite of all the things that happened, during that period of time, I moved 9 times. You know, I've cut my net worth twice, but still growing. There's been adversity, you know, in the economy, in the area of the world that I live in. I had my nephew pass away to a heroin overdose. I buried my father. I had 1/3 of my thyroid gland removed. In 2003, I lost all my hair to a disease called alopecia. Life happens, yes? And adversity is going to happen. But if you approach it in a way that shapes your life, that you decide that everything happens for me, but not to me, then you become stronger. The problem is our society spends a lot of time playing the victim, right? The economy, the competition, the ex-wife would be a great story for me, or the ex-wives, right? The payments, whatever. Those are all great stories. Here's what I say to people when I coach them. You can have a great story, or you can be a great story. Make your choice. I want to share with you a couple of lessons that worked for me, that I learned from my mentors. Nothing has but the meaning you give it. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Nothing has meaning but the meaning you give it. So I lose all my hair to alopecia. What probably happened is that I was going through my second divorce, and I decided at the same time to run a marathon without being prepared and then go on a 7-day cleanse. Probably not a good combination, right? After the 7-day cleanse, hair started to fall out of my head, and I started to feel like maybe I was getting cancer or different things. I started to question myself. Is questioning yourself a good thing? It is if they're empowering questions. If there is, why is this happening to me? Not so good. Am I dying of cancer? Not so good, right? So I started to ask the bad questions until I realized what I was doing. However, remember that fear is a tool. So fear said, are you dying? It caused me to take some action. The action was to go see a doctor, to investigate online, and then I soon discovered what alopecia was. And it's just a disease that attacks the follicles of your hair. And it has no other ill effects. Happens to about 23% of the population. So I'm like, okay, cool. Now how do I reframe myself here and really get strong with this? So jot this down if you will. WGAT. WGAT. It stands for what's great about this. And I thought, I don't have to buy any more shampoo. Never have a bad hair day, right? I get ready quicker. And I started to find the answers. Are the answers there? They're always there. You just have to look a little bit harder. So what's great about this is always available. In fact, I made a little thing with myself and I said, you know, I can get a massage once a month in exchange for the money that I would have spent getting my hair cut and the shampoo and everything. So now every time I go get a massage, I'm like, yippee-ki-yay, alopecia, you go. Right? Nothing has meaning but the meaning you give it. So I want you to think of something you've given a negative meaning to that you could turn around. You're too short, you're too tall, you're too skinny, you're too fat, you don't speak 2 languages. Your parents sucked, right? You don't have any parents. Something you're gonna turn around, something you're gonna give an empowering meaning, like alopecia is awesome, right? What is it in your life that you've given a negative meaning to just because it showed up for you that way, or somebody even suggested it to you? You know? Oh, you're so shy. Be quiet, you're shy. Somebody suggested that to you, you bought it, you wrote it down in your operations manual, and you thought that's who you are. How many of you have had that where you or somebody you know goes, oh, that's just the way I am. Oh, I would never do that, right? Were they born that way? Were you born shy? Were you born, timid or lazy? Hell no, I don't think so. Laziness is just fear. You see people walking around the office, oh yeah, man, I'm really fearful. I'm afraid the deal's not going to go through and I'm not going to finish number 1 in my office or in the top 10. I'm really afraid. No, you go, I'm stressed, man. You have no idea what's going on in my life. I got all this stuff going on in my life and I can't make this deal. Now get out of the way. I need that computer. Nothing is meaning but the meaning that you give it. I say empower yourself and start giving yourself empowering meaning. Does that make sense? At the end of today, I'm going to leave you with what I believe are the things that whether you associate pain or pleasure to them, by doing them, you will get massive results. Does that make sense? So most successful people, do they do a business plan? Right? Even if it's painful, do they do it? So what's the skill? We're going to find out some of them. What's the skill they need? They need to have the ability to convince themselves that the short-term pain is worth the long-term what? That's it, right? It's like working out, exercise, pain or pleasure. For some people, not exercising out, right, is pain. True or true? For some people, exercising and sweating and it's pain. But if you want to live a long and strong life, if you could get yourself to the point where you make that habit of exercising, how many of you would agree that's probably pretty good? Yes? Right. So you know what to do, but in many cases, you don't do what you know. Why is that? What stops you? Excuses, yes. And the big word is fear, right? So why wouldn't you work out? Well, maybe you don't have enough time, or maybe you don't know how to work out, or maybe last time you worked out, you injured yourself, or maybe you got embarrassed, somebody laughed at you because you didn't know how to do something. So it's only fear that stops you from doing it. So we want to override that fear and say, what's going to serve me at the highest level? Will working out serve me, right? There's 3 things that you have to do if you want to make a change that lasts. Jot this down. Number 1, change your environment. Change your environment. Why is environment so powerful? Because as humans, we love to connect. We want to be part of something. We want to be loved and appreciated. So if the option is to be part of this group or to be connected or to do something different, most of the time we go for the connection. If you're with people that are like-minded and people that have similar goals to you, then it's effortless. So you want to surround yourself with people that are doing the things that are going to serve you to get the goals that you want. That's it. Not more complicated than that. But most of the time, you're not surrounded by people that have the standards that you want to strive toward. So you have to seek those people out. And some of you are going to have to leave some people behind. I'm sorry to say it. If you want to live the legendary life, you're going to leave some people behind. That's it. Don't have all day to get into that. That's just the way it is. Number 2 is I want to encourage you to have a sense of curiosity. Be open. Ask questions. Look for people that have the experiences you want and ask them how they're doing it. And number 3 is you have to get leverage on yourself. And that's the whole why piece. Don't try to figure out how you're going to do the meditation. Why am I going to do the meditation? Why? Well, first of all, I don't want to let my buddies down because we committed to it. So we all text each other after we're done. That's number 1. Number 2 is I'm a man of my word. So if I say I'm going to do something, then I'm going to freaking do it. So that's leverage on myself. Does that make sense? And you want to start focusing on your vision. Now I'm going to jump to this next piece, and you've heard this before, and you've seen it before. What you focus on expands. When I was very young, I had a lot of acne, and my brothers and sisters said pizza face. And the more I focused on it, the worse I felt about myself. So I'd go to the mirror, see the acne, feel bad, tell my mom I was sick, not go to school. My brain searched for a solution to avoid the pain and discovered that sun tanning reduced the acne, and I decided to move to Australia. No joke. Moved to Australia to be in the sun all the time. Problem is I brought me with me, and I brought my identity with me. So even though I covered up and felt better in the moments, every day I lived in fear. Every single day that I'm not enough, that somebody's not going to like me, they're going to, God forbid, they call me pizza face, and I live with that fear. until I learned that what you focus on expands and that I could rewrite my operations manual. I could do what? Yeah, I could rewrite it. Imagine. I came to a conclusion that somebody offered me, my brother, who was jealous of me for whatever reason, tried to bring me down by giving me that identity, and I bought it. I took it on. He offered it, I bought it. He could have also said I'm a stud. I would have liked that, but it didn't work out that way. So when I found out that technology, I started to look for an empowering identity. And my coach said to me, who's somebody you admire? And I said, well, I like Clint Eastwood. How many think Clint Eastwood's pretty cool? Yes? And back in my day, when I was a little younger, he was kind of like, he was handsome. So I went from pizza face to ruggedly handsome. And then what I did is I just kept on saying to myself, you're ruggedly handsome, you're ruggedly handsome. Yeah, you've got some scars on your face from your acne, but that's you're a man and you're ruggedly handsome. And chicks do, they dig that. You've been somewhere, you've done something with your life. And I started to change my identity and feel more what? More confident. And then I was able to go out and do things in my life and not hide in my room. A simple change of what I focused on. So quickly think or jot down one piece of your identity, something you say about yourself that isn't empowering. Go ahead, jot that down, and then jot down the antithesis, the opposite, what it could be. Your brain will say no automatically right away to protect you, but your ability to say yes and to take action is what's going to change your life. When I was offered the opportunity to buy my company, I said yes before my brain could say no. I ended up having to do a whole bunch of things that had I consciously tried to figure out the how, it would have blocked me, right? So your ability to say yes first is a practice. It's a habit. There's people all over the place that have gotten the habit of saying yes to opportunity and they're better off. Now, I'm not saying don't, evaluate it. Somebody said jump off the side of the building. Yes, you're not going to do it. But I'm saying that you're more prone to say no than you are to say yes. So what if you start getting in the habit of saying yes? Just saying yes to things. You think way too much. One of my mentors said, just don't think, Rock. And you'd be better off. Be the most energetic person in your row. And then look down the rest of the row and say, come on, guys. Right? My experience after analyzing many successful people over the years, you talk to them and they'll say, you know what? I don't listen to the radio in my car anymore. So if you really just want to start to have some shifts, look at some of these, jot some of them down and say, you know what, maybe I'm going to make a shift in that area. I'm going to start listening to some more inspirational CDs, or I'm going to meditate. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take on a 21-day challenge. Or affirmations. So for instance, I'm gifted, guided, grateful, powerful, passionate, playful, sexy, sensual, sensitive, and blessed. Boom! Right? Say that again. Gifted, guided, grateful. Oh, you can say it if you want. Okay. Powerful, passionate, playful. Sexy, sensual, sensitive. And blessed. So the reason I have 10 of them is because I work out in the gym a lot, and every time I work out, instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, I go, I'm gifted, guided, grateful, powerful, passionate, playful, sexy, sensual, sensitive, and blessed, right? And I'm drilling that into the cells of my body and reminding them that I am blessed. We are all blessed here. We live in the greatest part of the world with so many opportunities, and people are dying to have the problems we have, yes? Yet we find a way to feel sometimes uninspired and disempowered. Yes, thank you. Do what is difficult and life will be easy. Remember the little girls? Do what is easy and life will be difficult. Thank you. Yes, the only meaning something has is the meaning that I decide to give to it. Do what I fear, take action, and it will disappear. Focus on the why, not the how. You guys are awesome. How you do things is none of your freaking business. Everything happens for me, not to me. Yes. Say yes before your brain says no. You guys are awesome. You can have a great story or you can be a great story. Change your environment if I can't, which really means that when your brain is trying to protect you from potential pain, you're going to take action anyway. Yes? And I'm going to challenge you all day long to do that.